Morning, heart of South Philly. Let's go see what the people have got to say. I'm ready to roll, baby.
Now listen here, Dutch. Mets and the Cowboys, they suck.
1, 2, 3, go Birds! Go Birds! Here we go, 302BIRDS, you know stinks. Go Birds! Oh my gosh, Chad. Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
Your favorite Chicagoan. Go Phils.
As always, God bless. Go Birds.
Get your water ice and soft pretzels ready because you are now tuned into a 302BIRDS podcast experience. Proudly presented by TickPick, Nick's Pizza, El Diablo Burritos, and Klondike Kate's on the heart of Main Street. Let's take it to the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 302BIRDS. Instead of hello, I should really be saying good evening. Welcome to another episode of 302BIRDS. Got another episode for you guys with a lot on the plate tonight. Even though you're seeing a limited cast, it's only half of us, still brought a lot to the table. We have a very, very special guest for Jack's Weekly Call-ins. I really don't want to delay it because sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words. What does that make a video or an interview with a picture? I don't know. Ask me.
What do I want when I'm in the state of Delaware? Of course, El Diablo Burritos. Customer service always is serving your food with a smile on their face, asking how your day is. Their food is phenomenal as well. Their burritos are out of this world, one of the best burritos in town. Their queso is phenomenal. Their burrito bowls are amazing as well. When you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos and tell them that 302BIRDS sent you. God bless, go Birds.
Welcoming the gingerbread men to the show. So I know normally when we do this, we actually kind of have the format of, well, us get interviewed by the call-in, they bring a question. We're going to change it up tonight a little bit, and what we're actually going to do is we're going to interview our call-in. If you guys don't know, these are Philadelphia's gingerbread men, not from the North Pole, from North fucking Philly. Get it right. No. Gingerbread men, how are you guys doing tonight? Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
You're great. You're welcome. We're doing good. How's everything going, guys?
Great. So I want to start with the question. We met you guys at MetLife backstage a couple seconds ago. We just found out that was your first time ever dressing up in the gingerbread costume. Where did this idea come from? How did this come about? Because this is pretty unique, pretty awesome. Love that you guys do it.
All right. So back in 2020, we had went down to the link, and it was actually Washington. We played the Washington Commanders, and it was a Tuesday night game because of COVID. It backed all the games up, and we decided to be Grinch that year, the Grinches. And then the next year, I said to JR, and I just said, I think gingerbreads would sound pretty cool. And we went to the MetLife, and then we just rode with it. We just rode with it. Honestly, that's how it worked.
It was a hit.
Really.
And you guys been doing it now for 2 years?
Yep. Going on 2 years.
Yep.
And how has that been? Do you guys get a lot of traffic whenever they see you at the stadium games?
A lot of picture taking.
Yeah, a lot of pictures, and
Reaction.
it just was a hit.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because like gingerbread is hard to wear all year round. It's only best, around Christmas time, but how have you guys kind of like counteracted that? And hey, every game.
Yeah.
It's just, when you're a diehard, you just wake up in the morning and you just say, it's time to go to work. We're putting it on. We're dedicated.
Love that.
I have a question for you guys. So you guys mentioned the Giants game. I'm thinking, if I saw 2 Giants fans in a fucking gingerbread get up at the link, those guys would get shit all day. Did you guys get any shit at MetLife? If you did, how do you combat it? I mean, do you guys have fun with it? Do a lot of opposing fans respect it, disrespect it?
If I remember right, I believe before we went inside the stadium, we took pictures with Giants fans.
It's been love. It really never was no problems, honestly. People have always, respected it. Yeah.
What about Cowboys fans? Are they on your naughty or nice list?
We haven't experienced those yet.
We haven't experienced those encounters.
Okay, so is that on the I guess another follow-up question for you guys. Do you guys have any games that you're planning on going to this year, or a schedule for the Gingerbread Men of when the people can find you?
We'll be down quite a bit. We're looking right now at the Jaguars game, the Kelly Green game. That's one of them we're looking. We were looking at maybe the first game of the year home game. Well, second game of the year home game. First home game.
Yeah, I think that's the Cleveland game. That's going to be,
Right.
or that might be the Falcons game, actually, right?
Mm-hmm. Falcons.
Yeah, I
Now,
was
let me ask-
listening. So go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
Yeah, let me ask you this. So I know you have the OG Eagles jersey, right? Are you guys planning on every time, having different color jerseys, like Kelly Green, the black, the whites? Do you have anything in the future planned like that?
So I actually have the midnight green. I have them all of them, and whatever they wear, that's what's going on.
Awesome.
So we
I
will
like
see
that.
a Kelly Green Gingerbread Men combo this season, right?
Yes, you will.
Absolutely.
That's going to be awesome. Stay tuned for that.
Also have the OG Hurts Kelly Green.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to
Number-
say the first time that I think I've seen you guys, I think one of you guys had on Miles Sanders, and then the other one had on, I want to say it was Devontae Smith. I think it was 6 and 26 is what I remember in my head. I can't remember who had on who. If I had to guess, was it JR had Devontae Smith and Zach had Miles Sanders?
Yep.
Yeah, because I think, did you used to have a 26 in your username or something, Zach?
Yep.
Memory is a weird thing, but can do cool things like that. So, yeah.
Yep.
That was a pretty cool experience. If you guys don't know, just for some background real quick, salute to both these guys because they're a fan's fan. I mean, they're up there with me for, I was talking with the Phillies sports guy about it on a podcast we did a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys listened to it. It was a fun experience. Nady came on here too. And we basically said, he was talking about how people have him tattooed on them and how that's such a surreal, crazy thing. And I said to him, I said, if I would ever get anything Philly sports tattooed on me, I would probably get, you guys, the Philly sports guy, Nady. I'm just trying to think about some Birdman, of course, like all the people that I grew up hanging out with, like that were like my ultimate fans. I know every generation has different ones. Like Jamie speaks to Sean, the guy who did it before him, and how awesome he was. But that's just the coolest part about this fan base is like, I think some fan bases would be intimidated. Like there's some fans that are like, hey, that's my thing. You know what I mean? When in the Philly sports fan base, you see another fan that's like an ultimate fan. It's like a stepbrothers kind of like meeting. It's like, oh my God, like, do you want to fucking do karate in the garage all night? Like, this is awesome. Like, where have you been all my life? So the first time I met these guys, and once again, salute to them because it's not an easy thing to do, and they're consistently doing it. Met them at MetLife and was immediately blown away. And every time I've seen them is polite, kind, respectful, funny too. They have really good one-liners that will catch you off guard, Dallas fans. So I want to be there to see that, but just the best kind of fans. So thank you guys for what you do. I want to say thank you. Cool.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
Thanks, guys. I mean,
you welcomed us.
It's always a blast.
Yeah, that's-
We get up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good time.
It's all about having a good time.
Do you guys
you
have
saying?
anything for us? No, I was just saying, do you have anything else before you guys head out for us where we can find you?
Yeah, we have our Instagram. It's the.gingerbreads610.
Okay.
Please give them a follow if you guys don't. I'm going to be sure to put them on our story tonight on Instagram to make it easy for you guys to just tap and follow. I know that there's like 14 people in here watching live. 15 now. Look at that. That's one extra follower. So all you guys better go follow them for me. They're good friends of the podcast. And I hope at some point, maybe during Christmas time, that would be an insane episode to get you guys actually in the studio out here in Delaware and film an episode with you. That would be a ton of fun. But thank you guys for jumping on, for real.
No problem.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.
Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Say it. Go Birds.
Go.
Legends. And like I said, I'm going to put them on our story to make it really easy for you guys to just drop a follow. Click that button one way. Do it nice and easy. But I know we only have Ballpark Tommy here for a limited time. He's popping in. So we're going to go ahead, get on our golf carts, and drive into the ballpark.
Time for Phillies talk with Ballpark Tommy. Finger stitch. What's going on, Dutchie? Down to the ballpark. It's a light week at the ballpark this week because it's All-Star week. We got Bohmer, who hit a few boomers on Monday. Hey, so close to making that final. He hit one maybe to 5 feet to the right, and he's in the final rather than Teoscar Hernandez. And we might have a different winner. I'm just saying. He was that close. But he
I was kind of upset, Tom. I wanted to ask you. I felt like he could have won that. I felt like there was a lot more gas in the tank. I don't know. What do you think?
I felt like he was kind of running out of gas there at the end of the like timed portion of his round before the 3 outs portion of it. He like all of a sudden got in a groove with those last few, and if he hit that last one that was just barely foul, he hits that about 5 feet to the right, more towards center. He's moving on. We don't have a swing off, and he could possibly be the winner over Bobby Witt, because Bobby Witt looked gassed in that last round. Teoscar Hernandez looked like he was just getting started. So I don't know. I think Bohmer would have pulled it out. Now, and to quote him, just like everybody thought, he put on an absolute show. Though he was only projected like 10 or 11 home runs going into that. Like every analyst loves to hate on Philly, and they absolutely shit on Bohmer. And Bohmer took a shit on them, and by almost making it into the finals.
So, Tommy,
there was somebody who picked him. Go ahead, Jack.
And you may know this, why was he chosen to be in the Homer Derby? Because, he's not really a big home run guy. We've talked about he's an RBI guy. Oh, he did? Okay, I didn't know that.
He volunteered.
I volunteered. It's true.
Plus, like it's almost like the dunk contest in the NBA where the superstars don't really want to do it anymore because they're all like, oh, I'm gonna get hurt or something like that. Because I think it was ever since Giancarlo Stanton had like a huge drop off the year he did it, because he was on pace to hit like 70. He still had a monster number. He had like 60 something home runs that year here with the Marlins, but he was projected to have like 70 or something. So his pace fell off big time, and he said he like felt like kind of like lingering effects of it. So ever since then, superstars have kind of like shied away from it. But like then there's guys like Bryce where he was like, yeah, I was tired the next day, but after that I was fine the rest of the season. So Bryce isn't buying it. Bryce, I think though, will admit he's older now, and that's why he kind of didn't do it. So I think that has a huge effect on it of like why we're not seeing like the big name superstars like Ohtani's coming back from Tommy John, so I get why he didn't do it either. But you had other guys like Vlad Guerrero Jr. He didn't do it. He's a bigger name in the MLB. I'm trying to think of other guys who were all stars who didn't. Freddie Freeman didn't do it. it Ozuna did it. Ozuna, I'm glad he deserved to lose. It was great seeing him and Pete Alonso coming absolutely dog shit dead last in that, because Pete Alonso's just a Met. That's why I hate him. But Ozuna's a terrible human being. He's done terrible things to women. And he has multiple DUIs. Like, Ozuna's just a terrible human being. So I was glad to see him get out pretty early. Even though the MLB tries to pump him up as a big superstar, all because he can hit dingers. He's a bum. But that's kind of like why, like, we're starting to see, like, not these big names not participate in it as much, because it's like it's that same effect of, oh well, I might get hurt, because like just like in the NBA, like when Blake Griffin started jumping over Kias, they were like, oh, I don't want my superstar jumping over a Kia, like he might get hurt. So
that makes sense. And I think he did such a fantastic job just coming out as that. How many guys participate in it, Tom? Eight. Yeah. Underdog, just beast. You know who put 10 nickels on him, Tommy? Your boy. And I ended up walking away with 105. It should have been 200, but I guess he tied in the first round. I had the vision before, which was right, that he would probably win the first round and come out swinging and surprise a lot of people. I didn't know what was going to happen after that. And just to be safe, I was like, all right, I just want to make sure I get my money there. And then it actually happened. Like, especially in that first round at the end when he was just cranking them. And shout out to Jeff, who was the pitcher for the Phillies?
I forget
the guy's name. I'm drawing a blank. He did fantastic, and they highlighted that.
He did fantastic in the first round. Second round, dude was throwing it at Alec Bohm's head. He needed to get a relief.
Yeah.
He needed
First
a relief
round, though,
for round two.
They got into this first round, I'll say. They got into this groove at the end there, where he was just putting it at the top center of the strike zone, like, right? Like, kind of like, if this is the box, he was just putting it right there. And Alec Bohm was just boom, 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 boom. It was like a fucking that meme that they have of all the guys like walking up on the field. Duh. Like, he was seriously a fucking machine out there. And I think that this should be, to the rest of the MLB, Alec Bohm's, fucking, like, put on notice, like, breakout moment. I don't know what you want to call it, but moment that they should start to recognize this guy's legit. Like Tom said, watching the Mets fall flat on their face like that was amazing. It can't get better than that. And seeing just Alec Bohm come out underdog, show up like that, I mean, it was fantastic. The thing I'll also say that's a little bit more fantastic than that, Tom, if I would have told you in 2014, young ballpark Tommy, just wait. The Phillies have a bright future, ballpark. Look at all these all-stars, Tom. I mean, I know that we touched a little bit on this, but how exciting is this for you as a fan?
It's very exciting. I mean, this was a franchise record this year. If you had told me going into this season they were going to have 8 all-stars, I would have said you're full of shit. Just to be quite frank. I could have saw, I probably, if you asked me going into the season who their all-stars would have been, it probably would have been Wheeler. I probably would have said Wheeler, Harper, Turner, and Real Muto. And that's about it. They had Harper, Turner, Bohm, Wheeler, Suarez, Strom, Hoffman, and Sanchez. If you told me Sanchez especially was going to be an all-star this year, I would have told you you're freaking nuts. Like, Sanchez, I would have thought, oh, he's going to be our 5th starter this year. He might make the team, this, that, or the other. But he's been a stud this year as a starter. Ranger has been a stud. Now he struggled his last few starts and probably needed this all-star break. But he's been a stud this year. Wheeler's been a stud. Strom has been an absolute freakazoid this year. When he comes in, and it's like big country boy moment. He comes in with that long hair. He's cursing up a storm, dropping F-bombs all over and whatnot. He's been phenomenal to watch. Harper's harpering, and Turner's finally who we imagined he would be, that 300 hitter. Boom, it's been a special thing to go from I fucking hate this place to I fucking love this place. It's been special to watch him grow and become the all-star that he truly has become in this town. I was reading an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer and they interviewed his coach from Wichita State, Alec Bohm, this week, and he was saying how he gets the spiel from parents all the time when he goes through the college recruiting process about how, like, my kid's a hard worker, or yada yada yada, and he's like, I get the lip service a lot where it's like, yeah, they're good and whatnot, and we bring them on, and they have a lot of talent, but they're not necessarily a hard worker. Where he's like, Boom was that guy. He was there an hour before everyone, 3 hours after everyone. He put in the work. He was calling up coaches to give him more work because he wanted to work. He was that guy when it came to someone who worked their ass off and got there. And we saw it too. His fielding was atrocious, but yet he could hit like nobody's business. He finally can still hit. He finally is starting to put some lift on the ball. He figured out how to hit home runs at the major league level, which is exciting to see. Now, I think he's going to be a 30 home run hitter. No, he'll never be that. However, it's exciting to see him finally, like, maybe get to the 15 homer mark or around there by the end of the season. He'll probably be at. He's an RBI machine, and he fields just as well, if not better. He's all of a sudden turned to a plus fielder. Nobody wants to say he's a plus fielder because of how atrocious he was his first few seasons. But he's a plus fielder all of a sudden. It's just special to see all these guys.
You know, I was not a big fan of Matt Strom last season. I always had the, oh my God, Matt Strom's on the mound. This is going to be rough. But I think this season, like you said, Tommy, he has turned that around and been that reliever pitcher we need who can help us out when we need it most. So I'm glad to see him make the All-Star week. So that's awesome to see that we have, 3 pitchers now? 3 or 4 pitchers that are part of the All-Star team, which is amazing because that's one thing.
Hoffman, Strom.
I think we had 5.
Sanchez.
5. 5. Because that's one thing that we have struggled with the past couple seasons. Our pitching hasn't been that great, and for us to have 5 pitchers from our team in the All-Star week is amazing. The All-Star game is amazing to see.
Night and day difference as a franchise. And the thing that I also want to highlight is the Phillies on the back end are getting ready. Tommy, Phillies have a little bit. I know you don't care about any draft whatsoever, but they go out and go ahead and bring in an outfielder and then a third base. Dante Nori, an outfielder, Griffin Burkholder, an outfielder day 1, 2 outfielders, and then day 2, Carson DiMartini, a third base, also an exciting prospect. Do you have any thoughts on the newest blood for the Phillies? Anything that you're excited to see from these guys?
Tom, can I ask a question quick?
Go ahead.
So for the draft, why is it in the middle of the season? So, like, where do these guys go once they're – obviously, they go straight to Philadelphia. They go to Iron Pigs. They go to Lehigh Valley Reading Phils. Like, why is – I feel like this is the only draft that happens middle of the season.
So the reason why it starts middle of the season is because, like, I want to say like 2 weeks ago, the College World Series just ended. And a lot of state, so the MLB is also one of the few that's still like regular. Like you get a guy here or there for the NBA and the NHL. Actually, you get a lot from the NHL still too. I shouldn't say it, but you get a guy here or there from the NBA that it's like they're straight out of high school going to the NBA. Hey, MLB still gets a lot of guys from the high school level, so they need them to finish their state tournaments first. And then they also need them to be over the age of 18, so they try to give them a few extra months after their senior year of high school to get to the age of 18, because that's part of the MLB bylaws now that you have to be at the age of 18. If you look up Willie Mays got selected at the age of 16
Oh wow.
to the Negro Leagues, and so that's a little history behind that. They want to let these amateur seasons finish first. Like, think about it, with the NFL, college football season's over. With the NBA, they wait like a month after the the NCAA season's over. The MLB is just following suit and waiting for those amateur leagues to finish up, because they want their guys to show off their talents at those levels, so then it builds up hype for the draft. They're trying to just build up hype just like all the other major sports.
Gotcha. Okay. I was curious.
And to answer your other question about where do these guys go, so the MLB has added on to their minor league system. So there's single A, double A, triple A. Now there's low and high A that they've created, but I want to say like 2021 season, and they did a realignment of the minor league system. So they still have single A, double A, triple A. Hey, some teams have chosen to have two double A teams or single A teams. They don't have to, but every team now has what they call a rookie ball team. And what those rookie ball teams do is it's a league full of just these guys that they drafted. The MLB has 100 rounds to their draft. So the draft goes on for 4 days, not because they're poo-pooing like the NFL. No, they have 3 or 4 days because there's 100 guys being selected.
Right.
So for the first the day one, you see like they kind of do fanfare. They go to the MLB Network studios out in New Jersey and do the draft. I believe in Studio 42 is what they call it there, where it looks like a baseball field actually, and they all look like they're coming out of a dugout to greet Rob Manfred, the commissioner, and all that. And it doesn't have as much fanfare as all the other drafts, but that's what they do on day one. And then they move on to rookie ball. And some of them, if they're good enough, they'll find their way to single A. They'll find their way into high A or low A. But that's to the discretion of the organizations and to see how developed these guys are. Like Paul Skeens, who started the All-Star game last night, he went right into single A, moved on up to double A, triple A, and on his way up to the MLB this year. Like, he fast tracked it. He won the World Series with LSU last year. Here, fast tracked his way. He has not lost a baseball game in Paul Skeens since March of last year. Here, between college baseball, the minors, and the MLB this year. The dude is an absolute phenom, and it was a pleasure to watch that man pitch last night.
Yeah, so what do you feel about these new Phillies that we got? Sorry, I didn't mean to go off the tangent.
No,
but I was curious about I was just curious about that.
No, you're good. I think they're filling needs. Like, these guys, like the Phillies don't have the strongest minor
farm
league
system.
Yeah, they really don't have the strongest farm system right now. So, especially with, like, when you look at the outfield, everybody's like, oh, why don't they try to bring someone else up other than Rojas or somebody who may replace Marsh, somebody who could face lefties and righties and be phenomenal. The problem is they really don't have anyone position player wise. That's why you didn't see a lot of pitchers get selected by the Phillies. He's like, they had the one kid, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he pitched at St. Joe's. He was pretty much their only pitcher they selected. Other than that, it's a lot of position players. They need a lot of position players. Scott Kingery's raking, but he, as a lot of people like to jokingly say, he's a quadruple A player. Like, he does really well against triple A guys and some really, and like, bottom of the barrel teams in the MLB. but he stinks against actual MLB pitchers. And like that's kind of how the rest of their farm system is. So it's kind of good to see these guys. I hope they turn into something. We see Aiden Miller, he's a stud. Justin Crawford, he's another stud. They need to develop another year or two before they'll be ready to be called up. But it's exciting to see guys like that. Nori, he has some promise to him from what I was reading. To say that I knew anything about him before the draft would be a lie because, well, nobody really does coverage about any of these guys, and a lot of these guys are high school kids, so it's kind of tough to scout like what and make predictions about the MLB draft and whatnot. But I'm excited. Hopefully they'll make their way up in the Phillies farm system. Phillies do have some exciting players coming up. Like Marshawn, now we've seen what he can do at the MLB level. Oh, he'll be exciting to see in future years. I'm sure as JT eventually will wind his way down. I'm sure JT's stretch of playing 150, 145 games a season isn't necessarily sustainable for much longer as a catcher. He's an old school catcher and will do it, but it's not necessarily the most sustainable thing. We saw what happened. He's already been on the IL for an extended period of time this year, needing knee surgery. So I'm sure in the next few years, we'll start to see guys like Marshawn come up, and he'll rotate in and out more frequently with JT. And it'll be really exciting to see.
Yeah, Luke Gabrish is actually, I looked up his name while you were talking, from St. Joe's. I apologize if I'm butchering that last name, but he's also from Wilmington, Delaware. How about that? He went to, right here it says Concord High School from Wilmington, Delaware. So still doesn't feel real. Is the quote that NBC Sports Philadelphia is putting out, is how he's saying about the draft. And I also want to highlight, I think that Tom's right. The Phillies have no farm system, so they really needed to replenish it. Dante Nori, I think, is a good draft pick. I didn't find out much about him. I know he's really speedy from what I saw. He can cover a lot of ground very fast, but there's not much to be said for that. A lot of people can do that, but he has very good, I would say, plate discipline and I think potential at the plate. So that's why the Phillies brought him in, because if they can develop him in their farm system, he's going to be that long-term prospect like Tommy was pointing out earlier. Carson, however, DeMartini, I actually DM'd him when the Phillies drafted him. And I was just like, hey, congratulations, welcome to Philadelphia. And he replied, and he said he's super excited to be in Philadelphia. Virginia Tech at third baseman, I mean, .311 batting average, 164 RBIs, and 46 home runs. That'll do it. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And the kid is also decent in the infield. Now, obviously, get a little bit scared with that because I'm an Alec Bohm kind of guy. That's my dude. Want him there. But he was insane in college, and I think he has real good potential in the MLB. Obviously, a lot of people do. But I think that these two guys, that's why I put them on the graphic, I think have definitely the most potential for the Phils.
But Dutch, look at it this way. I know you love Alec Bohm, but let's face it, the most probable scenario looking forward. Now, I'm talking 4 or 5 years into the future. Here, Schwarber might get one more contract after he's done this contract with the Phillies. And get one more with them. But once he's done that contract, he's probably gone. You'll probably put Harper more in a DH position. You'll probably move Bohm over to first base because, sure, he's athletic now, but 4 or 5 years from now, I think I'd rather have him at first than third. And then this guy will be ready to be called up, assuming all goes according to plan, and he'll take over third base for Alec Bohm.
Yeah. It'll be interesting for sure to see how they develop. Tom, I want to thank you because we're moving on to our next segment, which is the Flyers. I know you got to head out here, but want to thank Ballpark for coming on here, bringing us that Phillies knowledge. Appreciate you, Tommy. Hope you have a good evening.
Yep. See you, boys.
See you, man. Have a good night. Cool. So now we
dynamic duo, baby.
It's Dalton and Jack, you guys are going to have a lot of fun tonight. We'll do a segment, even though he's not here, because it's always great seeing this picture of him. I can't lie.
He shoots, he scores! Time for Slap Shots with Zep. Flyers talk from 302 Birds.
Anytime that it's just Dalton and Jack talking about hockey, fair warning, it's not going to be pretty. Usually it's Josh. Then our backup is Tommy, or sometimes
Frankie,
I would say. And, after that, I mean, we're probably the two worst people. Matt's probably better than both you and me. But Matty Michkov is going to be getting a little bit of a mentor. So, wrong graphic, sorry, while I pull that up. How do you feel about the old mentor thing? I mean, coming into a sport, how important is it having a mentor, somebody to look up to?
Yeah, no, I think it's huge to have a good mentor, because this mentor will kind of give you the ropes on how to be the best player you can be. So having that mentor is huge, because he's 18 years old. Like, he's a young buck. I mean, he's played hockey all his life pretty much, but he hasn't played in the NHL. So having somebody who has that history in the NHL, who's his mentor? Who they got?
Erik Johnson. So he's a defenseman right now for the Flyers. Don't worry, I had to look this all up a couple days ago. I just don't watch the Flyers religiously like that, guys. I'm going to own it. I mean, you got so many teams, you can't watch them all. But yeah, Erik Johnson, pretty cool story, is a defenseman right now for the Flyers. He was a St. Louis Blue. Then he played for the Colorado Avalanche for a while. I want to say close to 12 years, and then came to the Flyers. When he came to the Flyers, so did Michkov, ironically. They both came, I want to say, in 2023. But he's basically said he's willing to do whatever it needs, not only for the team, he came out and said that, but for Michkov, too, as a mentor. And I really respect that as a fan. I resonate with that. I mean, you want to see players embrace young guys. You always see the stories about these rookies having to buy the guys older on their teams, pick up their tab, stuff like that. Go get me coffee, this, that. I think a couple weeks ago, we saw a video of some guys, I think it was the Angels players, doing the Starbucks run. So you see that kind of stuff in sports a lot. What you don't see is stuff like this. And this is what makes sports. I don't care if it's baseball. I don't care if it's football. I don't care if it's hockey. I don't care if it's basketball. Seeing one player take another player under their wing to show them, it's a lot of pressure being up at that level, dealing with these interviews, dealing with people like me asking you dumbass questions every day. For those who are listening on Spotify and can't see, I'm laughing right now. Point being, I just love that Erik Johnson, right on coming to this team, is willing to be that guy, that big brother.
Yeah, no, and it's also for PR issues too. Like if like you just said, interviews, or how to keep track of the room after a game, things like that. Just kind of giving you the ropes on what it is to be a professional athlete. And having a mentor goes good for sports. We've had mentor for our podcast, so having that kind of big brother as
Mike.
Exactly. Having that kind of mentorship is huge. And I think that's how somebody becomes successful. So the fact that he's taken up, the helm and kind of saying, hey, this is my job. I will make sure Michkov knows what it takes to be either a Flyer or in the NHL. So I'm proud of him for doing that. And it goes it shows the coach that this guy is willing to do anything for the team and how to improve on the players as well, the new players.
And coming to a city where you are one of the primary teams is not easy. In Philadelphia, the problem is all four are the primary teams. Not maybe for everybody, but each fan base has a pretty large gathering compared to other cities. I mean, when you look at the attendance, for sure as well. So St. Louis is primarily, when you think about St. Louis, the Rams aren't there anymore. Cardinals are the Blues, and the Blues definitely have a lot more success. So at least from what I've seen recently. So there's that pressure is what I'm trying to say. When you come into a city where your fans expect success, expect certain things out of you, he knows what that's like. So it's going to be good. I think that he can kind of relate to him. He's also, I think, around 35, 36. So he's not too old. Like Torts, trying to relate to him. That's not going to work. That's not going to, it's all the right age, I think, to where it could all play out for the Flyers. Now, what's to come of that? Is that 1 playoff series win? Is that 2? Is that a Stanley Cup appearance? I don't know. That's up to Michkov and his development, and up to Torts and how he develops him as a player. But, I mean, from what I've watched on this guy, like I said, I mean, I'm not much of a hockey fan, so I'm kind of just spitballing. He looks insane, though. Like, this kid looks like a freak of nature when the puck gets in his possession. So if he could do any of that in the NHL or replicate it, the Flyers are going to be in for a treat. That's all I got about this. You got anything else to say?
Nope.
Cool. So pivoting now, no NBA right now, but still a little bit exciting. Every 4 years it comes around, Jack Jordan, that you get to root for the USA in the Olympics. How you feeling about Embiid and his Olympic debut for Team USA? I guess now he got his citizenship so he can play for us.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's Embiid, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. He's a great athlete, great player, but, he hasn't really amounted to what we expect of him. So I think this is huge. I know a lot of people leading up to this were like, I don't know if Embiid should play because, he's plagued with injuries, so they don't want him to get injured during the Olympics and be out, start of the season for the NBA. But I mean, it's great that Embiid decided that he does not want to play for, or that he chose USA over Cameroon, because I think Cameroon is in the Olympics as well. But I mean, hey, this is one sport that the USA should dominate, because it is one of our biggest sports, I would say. So I'm expecting the gold medal, but I'm expecting to win these games by a landslide because the majority of these players on the U.S. Olympic team are in the NBA. Like Cameroon, there's a few players. Spain, there's a few players in the NBA, but the majority of all the players on the men's Olympic team are in the NBA. So we should dominate. But hopefully Embiid plays well and stays healthy the whole month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah, I like what you said. They shouldn't just win the gold. They should beat the crap out of these teams. I mean, they are legit. Like, legit. They have not only the best players in America, they're just getting the best players in the world now. So the fact that Embiid wants to come to the USA to play here, I think just speaks volumes, showing, okay, this guy is committed to Philadelphia, to the USA, to the program that we have here, and, wants to be a part of that. So, you hear all these things. I'll believe it when I see it. I think I'll say this too. A lot of other countries are starting to catch up to America in their sports. Football, the U20 team just lost to Japan. USA lost to Japan as well in the World Baseball Classic. Those are American sports primarily. How would you ever lose them? Basketball, I don't think is going to be one of them for a long time. At least it shouldn't be. The difference level, the gap in talent, in game, in IQ, in development, in players from the USA to the rest of the world is just too big of a gap for it to be acceptable. I don't know if you saw the picture. I saw the meme today. I wish I had it saved. I would have sent it to you. But it's just, you see the U16 team for girls versus the U16 team for Mexico, USA versus Mexico basketball. And like the height difference is just nuts. It looks like 8th graders playing 2nd graders. I'm not exaggerating, dude.
Wow.
It's absurd. So just this is really the USA sport. This is the last thing we got, guys. This is it. We've lost even fucking football. American football. We've lost. So don't lose basketball. Don't let us down. I think that this is like the only thing that I really care about in the Olympics. Like, I'm fucking not watching shuffleboard or whatever any of the other Olympic sports are.
Ping pong's crazy. Ping pong gets crazy in the Olympics. So
that's
one sport.
Maybe swimming. Is Phelps doing it this year? Do you know? I don't even know.
He's been done since 2 Olympics ago. Like he retired from the Olympics.
No,
so he's not in it. But I mean, hey, well, we got, what day is it? The 17th. We have 9 days until the Olympics start. So this is huge for the USA. This is how you make a name for yourself. Come on, bring on the gold and obliterate the teams who play in basketball.
Is flag football going to be a part of it?
So that's going to be in the 2028, I think, Olympics.
Okay, that's going to be – I'm very interested to see who they put forward for that. Like, I think you take the guys who are just getting a job 1 year out of college, like didn't make it to the NFL, have nothing else to do. Doesn't matter if they get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, put them on notice, put them on radar, because you can't afford to lose any American sport to that level again. That was so embarrassing.
There is a new sport in this Olympics, and it's breakdancing.
What?
It is yes, breakdancing is in the Olympics this year. So open your eyes.
What country did that originate from? The U.S.?
Probably the U.S. or I mean, like the China or Japan. Because I mean, if you watch YouTube videos, people breakdancing, it's Japan, Africa, Brazil, the U.S. So that's gonna be interesting to watch. I'm not sure how it's gonna, look, but I did hear that that's gonna be a new sport in this Olympics.
I don't think the US betting on that.
That'd be crazy. I don't know how you would bet like on points wise.
It's got to be just who's outright winner. I think you would probably bet on, and it's probably just a judge kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's subjective. So, could be interesting.
So I heard that. I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested to see what that's like to watch. Because
that'd be insane.
It's crazy. I mean, breakdancing is pretty incredible, and I've seen videos on it, and it's like, holy shit, like they can do that with their body. So we'll see. Anyway, I gotta digress.
That would be insane. Oh my god, to meet somebody. Yeah, I'm an Olympic break dancer. Oh my god, can you show me what you got? Yeah, that would be nuts. So moving along to our last segment, but before we go along in there, it's just me and Jack tonight. So I know he always has a trivia prepared for you guys. So I guess I'm the only one with an opportunity to get it tonight.
Tom texted me.
Okay, Tom texted you and then the fans. So fans, you guys can answer this, but let's go ahead and get it there before we get into our last segment.
Time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia with your host, Jack Dalton, the mayor of Delaware.
Thank you to Tick Pick. Like I've said previous times before, it is Philly season. We got a week rest of baseball. Next week's all baseball. Make sure you buy tickets through Tick Pick. We have Eagles coming up. We have like a couple days, or I think a month and a half, maybe, before the season starts. Use code. What's the code we used, all?
So now what they gave us is an actual link. So if you guys just click the link in our bio, it'll give you guys $10 off your first order up to $99.
Awesome. So make sure you use Tick Pick. But other than that, tonight's question we have for you. I know it's been all Phillies, but I was feeling, you know what? I'm done talking about Phillies. It's not baseball this week, so we're bringing it back to the Eagles. So tonight's question I have for you is, how many times have the Philadelphia Eagles won the NFC East? Again, how many times have the Philadelphia Eagles won the NFC East? A, 5 times. B, 10 times. C, 8 times. Or D, 12 times. We will give you the answer at the end of the show. Thank you to Tick Pick.
All right, I just texted you or put mine in the chat.
Yeah, saw that. So
cool.
Moving on up.
So one thing that everybody's talking about all around the NFL. Some people are praising Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, saying that this could be their best season yet. They could end up holding the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the year. Others, however, are saying pump the brakes, not so much, pal. I don't think that the Eagles are there yet. I've heard it both ways. I've heard, things from a lot of people saying that they don't doubt Jalen Hurts, but that he still has a lot to prove. So I just want to lay it on the table. We went ahead and did this last year, and I figured we should do it again. Jalen Hurts obviously took a step backwards last year. Everybody saw that, just addressing it, calling it like it is. What are your expectations for him next year as a player? And what would you like to see from him as a passer, as a rusher? Go ahead and just go off this list right here for some over-unders for me.
Okay. Like you said, I'm a betting man. What we're expecting. So just everyone knows this, everyone does knows this. He signed a 5-year deal for $255 million, which is a lot of money, a lot of bread on the table. He's definitely worth it all. Last year, he had a kind of a decline in his stats. The year before that, he played probably the best football he's in Philadelphia since he's been here. So for your question, Dalton, over under for passing yards. Let's see what he was last year. Anyway. So he had 2,000. No, that's not right. Anyway, over under. So over under 4,000 passing yards. I'm expecting that to be over 4,000 passing yards. We just signed Devontae Smith to another contract extension. We just gave AJ Brown a lot of bread. The question is, who's that third receiver? So if it's Will Pascal or whoever, who's the who's the guy from the Colts that we got? Anyway, so we have probably the best receiving duo in the league. So I'm expecting that to be over 400 passing yards. Okay. Now we go down to passing TDs. Okay. So again, we have the best duo in the league at receiving. We have one of the best tight ends. So for that 25 passing TDs, I'm expecting that to be over 25. I'm expecting to be at least 30 passing TDs. Okay. Now this is an interesting one. 1,000 rushing yards, over under. I probably gonna go under because we just got Saquon Barkley. So we're gonna save Jalen Hurts' legs. He's gonna still run the ball, but not as much as he did last year when he had all that the pressure on him. So I'm gonna go under 1,000 rushing yards. So again, we're not going to need to rely on his legs as much. We're just going to need to rely on his passing. And then over under 8 rushing TDs. I'm going to go, depending on what play we use, if we're in a tush push, on the goal line, that's going to kind of probably increase. I'm going to go with still over rushing TDs, over 8 rushing TDs. I'm expecting to be, 10, 11 rushing TDs. And then, hey, this is the one that kind of marks your name in the Philly book of legends. And it's 1 playoff win. I'm expecting that to be over 1 playoff win. We just had one of the worst end of our seasons last season with losing 6 in a row or 7 in a row. And then we go to Tampa and lose the first playoff game. So we have all these weapons now that we should utilize. We have a better offense coordinator. We have a better defensive coordinator. So I'm expecting him to have over 1 playoff win. I'm expecting to see the Eagles in the NFC Championship. That is my take on Jalen Hurts' expectations.
I love it. Yeah, I like how you put a lot of that stuff. I want to just start out by saying a couple of things. I'm adjusting the mic. That's how you guys know I'm about to make a good point. I want to start by saying the pressure isn't necessarily as much on Jalen Hurts as it is on Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore's job is not to be an offensive coordinator. His job is also to be a talent evaluator for that offense. A lot of people think Kellen Moore's job is to come into this offense and to just implement what works for him, his offense. No, not the case. Kellen Moore's job is going to be to go back to 2022. Last year, Jalen Hurts had more. If I told you guys Jalen Hurts had more passing yards last year than he did in 2022, the year that we went to the Super Bowl, a lot of people would tell me that I was crazy, but it's true. Last year he had 3,858. The year before he had 3,701. And he also had one more passing touchdown last year. So we're starting to see Jalen Hurts develop a little bit more as that Russell Wilson kind of player. When Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl, he wasn't the rusher that he was when he first came out of Wisconsin. You know, when he first came in the NFL, he was that fantasy quarterback that Jalen Hurts is. Then he kind of matured. He didn't run as much. And it wasn't that running wasn't in his repertoire. It was that it was secondary for him. And I think that that's what it needs to become for Jalen Hurts. It needs to become an afterthought for him. He needs to develop primarily as a passer, a guy who can put the ball in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, or Dallas Goedert's hand. And when that's not there, then he can run. But he needs to be able to do those things first. He needs to be able to develop. Kellen Moore, like I said, also needs to be able to develop as a play caller and look at film and see, okay, what works for all of these guys in this offense? Because this is like working with a very complex dish in the kitchen. You have all of these great ingredients, but you don't want to use too much of one thing or too little of it because it could throw off things drastically. It could throw off the whole taste. It could throw off the whole groove. It could throw off the whole chemistry. And that's what the Eagles need to be careful of. I heard the other day, Jack, this offense looks 95% different. I don't know if I like or hate that. I don't know. I want to see it first. But like I said, everything last year wasn't all bad. There was also a lot that went right. So I think that the Eagles need to appreciate that. You know, it wasn't like we fell flat on our face like the Rams did the year that they won the Super Bowl after. We had a pretty bad collapse. I would say the worst in the Eagles' history, but it wasn't as bad as some of those other teams. So I think that the Eagles, Kellen Moore included, need to be able to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, what went well last year and how do we apply that? Because everybody's going to be looking at our film of what went well those past couple of years. You need to figure out what goes well and then say, okay, what are these guys' raw talents and how do I draw up plays to utilize that?
Yeah, I agree. And like you said earlier, before we started this topic, it's like people are expecting us to be Super Bowl bound. Okay. We say that every year. I mean, I'm guilty of saying it myself. We have all the weapons we need to get to the mountaintop. At the same time, it's a matter of the chemistry we have with the offense side of the ball, the defense side of the ball, the coaches in the coaching room, because I think whether or not we'll ever find out what happened last season, that the chemistry in the locker room between the coaches and the players wasn't there. And that's why we had that decline we had. So we just got to, I'm going to be, saying that take it week by week. I obviously want to get to the mountaintop, but at the same time, we got to take it week by week because we think on paper, obviously we got a lot better, especially adding Saquon Barkley to our team, but it's a matter of how our team gels together. And we are missing a key player on our offense, and that's Jason Kelce. So this is going to be a year without Jason Kelce. And whether or not he's I think he was the most important player on that team. So it's just a matter of how we bounce back from that decline and how we play. I think we'll be fine with Jason Kelce not being there. But at the same time, it's a matter of this is Jalen Hurts' team. This is Jalen Hurts' year. He has to be that leader in the locker room who takes charge when we're at our worst and at our best. So we're going to have to see more emotion coming from Jalen Hurts, and that will react on how this team plays this season.
That's basically what Joel's and a lot of other critics are saying of Jalen Hurts is that He's not that vocal leader that they want to see. That traditional QB. Shout out to Bill, formerly Legal Hands to the Face. From Bill from 97.5 The Fanatic had a great analogy today. And he said, I'm drawing a blank now. What did you say right before that? Sorry.
About what?
What were you talking about a second ago there? Something with the
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, say that at the end.
Yeah, so we have to get to the mountaintop, and it's a matter of we play week by week, and having Jalen Hurts be that vocal player in the locker room, and the players will react to getting to that Super Bowl.
Now I remember. So Bill said it, and I laughed out loud when I heard it today, because I sometimes watch on my TV on YouTube TV on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and he said McNabb was a corny ass QB. And that is so true. I thought about it. He was corny as hell. Those Campbell's soup commercials, I'm sure he got the bag. But all those things that McNabb did were corny as hell. And McNabb's relationship with Philadelphia fans aside, McNabb had control of his team. So it's almost a personality trait. I wonder if Jalen Hurts has it or doesn't have it. We saw there were a couple times last year where he's screaming in the huddle. He's getting, excited like that. But we want to see more of it off the field with the fans, stuff like that. So we'll see if he comes around to that. As far as play goes, I'm not concerned about any of his play. I'm not worried about any of it. Like I said, I want to see Jalen Hurts. I want to see Jalen Hurts develop more as a Russell Wilson kind of player. I want to see him progress along that same path where you come into the league, rushing is, your primary thing that you do. That's what you're good at, and, your whole life you're doing it. So nobody's stopping you, but you develop other traits in the NFL to survive. He needs to be able to develop those other traits in the NFL to survive, which I think he has. We've seen that progression. I don't know that it's been as fast as some people have wanted as that pocket passer, the passer, but I do think that he is a long-term solution for the Eagles at quarterback. I think this will be the season that he does put up that extra 150 yards. He goes over 4,000 passing yards. 25 passing touchdowns, I'm going to say let's go ahead and take it. I'm going to say over this year. Rushing yards, I'm going to unfortunately say under. I think he's going to be in that 550 to 750 threshold. Last year, I think he was only like 600, which made a lot of fantasy owners mad, upset. He ain't playing for your fantasy team. He's playing for the fucking Philadelphia Eagles. So get that straight. It ain't about our fantasy teams. Rushing touchdowns, 8. That's interesting. I think that that's going to probably be moved up now to like 10 or 11 probably would be fair. I'm definitely going to say over 8. I would take 8 all day. I think with the tush push, which how they run it, they're going to try to run it again. I think that that's going to be in that 5% of the offense that they keep the same, hypothetically. So I'll say I think he's going to have 12. And then I think he'll get 2 playoff wins. He'll make it to the Super Bowl again. I think that 2024 is the year of all Philadelphia sports. Kobe's looking down on us. 2024, 24. And I just have a weird feeling. 24 is a good number. It's a lucky number for me. It's a lucky number for a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people say that to me this year. So I just have a weird feeling about 2024. And one of these sports teams, or maybe better yet, multiple of these sports teams are going to walk out of this year with a championship.
Before we get to the trivia, one thing I have to critique you about is I don't want Jalen Hurts to progress like Russell Wilson, because we have seen, yes, Russell Wilson is a great player, but we've seen his decline. I mean, since he went to Denver, he hasn't played that great of a football. We'll see what he does, and that's the biggest thing with Steelers fans is like, are we going to see the Seahawks Russell Wilson this season or not? So, Russell Wilson started out really hot and then kind of declined. And now he's kind of up on his, back to like the peak of his career. But I just want Jalen Hurts to be like that the whole career, be consistent, because having that Russell Wilson-esque play I don't think would be the greatest for Jalen Hurts. So that's why I wanted to critique that because, like you said, yeah, he was a great player starting out his career. And then since he's been traded, he just kind of went on a decline. So we'll see what happens at the Steelers. But that's what all I got to say.
Yeah, he's definitely getting a fresh start. And I hear your point about the up and then the down. I don't think that he's back up to that peak yet. I think he's still, hanging down there. But call me greedy, man. Call me a Philly fan. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not in the long term anymore for Philly sports teams because I realize, Jack, it ain't about long term. It's about getting it when you got it and when you can get it. That's what I've learned about being a Philly sports fan. It's about when you're at the top of the pole, being able to ring that bell or grab whatever you need to. When you're in the Money in the Bank match, you better be able to grab that suitcase. You don't get often that you get up there. That's what we've seen. So that's why, even for the Phillies, I'm chasing Mason. I would love a Mason Miller trade because I'm all in. I'm putting all my chips in on this year. I want to just get the job done now and know that I'm coming out of this year with at least one championship because God forbid if I don't, I'm going to be kicking myself, crying that I didn't get one out of these 4 years for any of these Philly sports teams. And I wish that you could see how much I'm pinching myself on my hand right here because that's how passionate, guys, we get about our teams. We care. This is not just Shard always says, I invest my all well-being into these teams. And it's very, very true. And we just want to see somebody come out with a parade. Give us at least one. Now wrapping up into our last segment.
Time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia, with your host, Jack Dorden, the mayor of Delaware.
This Jack's Trivia is brought to you by TickPick. Like I've said before, it's Philly season, it's Eagles season. Buy your tickets through TickPick. We have a link in our Instagram bio, TikTok bio for a discount. But without further ado, again, the question we have for tonight is how many times have the Philadelphia Eagles won the NFC East? Again, how many times have the Philadelphia Eagles won the NFC East? A, 5 times, B, 10 times, C, 8 times, or D, 12 times. I'll go to the chat or the comment section. I don't see anyone answering this yet. So I'll come back to the studio with the team. So Tommy said to me, his answer is 12 times. And that is correct. Thank you, Conrad Joseph. Correct answer, D, 12 times. Dalton in the private chat said 10 times. That is wrong. So we had a small crew tonight. So your answer for tonight is 12 times the Eagles have won the NFC East. We've never won it back-to-back, which we're going to do after this season. We're going to win the NFC this season, and then we're going to win it next season. But, yeah, to our team, Dalton got it wrong. Tom got it correct. And then to our viewers, Conrad Joseph got it correct with 12. So thank you, Conrad, for your answer. Do you got anything else left up?
Yeah, just 2 things I want to say before we wrap up. I think on the 31st, I said it was, if not next week, I think the 31st, though, we're going to be taking a break from the podcast for a week. I think it'll be the week of the 31st. So next week will be our last show of season 6. Then we're going to get ready for season 7, baby. We're going to be starting out with our 7th season. You guys know we usually fluctuate by season, by off season. So we usually flip season, Eagles and Phillies season. So first season is usually fall and winter for us, and then spring and summer season. So as we get towards the end of summertime here, going to be pivoting, and as the Eagles, moreover, starting into season 7. Also want to say, if you guys haven't, go check out our YouTube channel. Jack and I did a chip review of the Hers pierogi, stromboli, and cheese ravioli potato chips for the Flavors of Philly challenge. They were awesome. Tasted really good. And it was a really fun review with him. But that's all I got. Go ahead and take it away, Jack.
Yeah. So like you said, and I'm sure once season 7 starts, we'll have a date when we draft our team for our 302 Birds fantasy football draft.
Yes, that's coming up. Get ready to get your ass kicked.
Please, you lost last season. You still have to do your punishment, by the way.
Yeah, what do I have to do for that again? Do I have to like take $1 or something to Olive Garden on a date?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get you one of the, like those big bears, it's like $100 you buy for like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna buy one of those for you, and you have to take it on a date. Your girlfriend cannot be there because it's just a date between you and the bear.
The bear.
The bear. So I'll get that within the next couple of weeks, and then probably the week before we draft or the day before we draft, you go on a quick date. And we have to videotape it and show the viewers your punishment.
I can take it to whatever restaurant I want is the fair thing, but we have to sit down for a meal is the rule.
Yeah.
I can take it to fucking McDonald's if I want, hypothetically, but I have to sit down with it for a meal.
Right. And I will be there with you videotaping it. I'll see if Josh wants to come too. And maybe, Matt's not going to be here, but we're definitely going to make sure you do that. And I was literally talking to Josh about it, and I was like, one hasn't done it yet. So, all right, well, that's all we got. Without further ado, hey, Josh, it's an outro, not an intro. Hit that motherfucking outro.
What we got? 302 birds, Stinks.